Welcome. I'm Eunice. Thank you for joining me on this journey of mastering our relaxation. This yoga stretch sequence is for stiffness and to build flexibility. And you can always modify or skip any posture that doesn't work for your body today. You can always use a child's pose for breaks or to substitute any posture. Feel free to grab any props that you may need for support. And remember, your body is the guru. Honor and listen to it. Let's begin in hero's pose. Sitting on our shins, on the back of our calves, you can always use a yoga block and place it vertically between the ankles or horizontally to create more of a foundation, more base to work with. And in your hero's pose, we're going to take it into a quad stretch by placing the hands behind the feet, fingertips face the toes. Roll the shoulder heads back, send the heart forward. Lengthen the lower back by tilting the tailbone down so the pelvis tilts forward. Slightly tilt the chin down towards the chest to lengthen the back of the neck. And breathe into this quad stretch. Inhale, come forward to a release, placing the hands down in front of the knees, and tuck the toes under for a toe stretch, helping the pinky toes along. You'll keep the fingertips on the ground in front of you, pressing the hips back towards the heels. Keep a nice flat back, and you can stay here if this is enough, or you'll walk the hands back towards the legs and come to sit up on the calves. You can stay in stillness, or you can use a great distraction by making half circles with the neck, stretching one ear to one shoulder, moving the chin through center, and stretching the other ear to the opposite shoulder. Release, come forward, place the hands on the ground and just tap out the feet. And we're going to move the hips into some hip circles. Move your knees back, start circling the hips in one direction. And you can bring intuitive movement into this too, getting more into the upper body or bringing the neck into it. And then you'll switch the directions of your hip circles. Release and come back to center. We're going to move through some cat-cows, finding movement for the spine. Stack the knees under the hips. The knees are hips distance apart, and keep the wrists under the shoulders. The wrists are shoulders distance apart, and spread the fingers nice and wide. On your next inhale, drop the belly, tilt the tailbone up. Exhale, push into the ground, into the shins, and round through the upper back. Inhale, send the heart forward, tilt the tailbone up. Exhale, push into the ground and round through the upper back. As you move through a few more cat-cows, link your breath with your movement and move at your own pace. Come back to neutral spine and just sit back on the calves for a moment. Just circle out the wrists. You can open and close your fists. And then make fists and just circle the wrists in one direction. And then reverse the direction of the rotations. You can also interlace the fingers, coming into one fist, and then make some figure eights in one direction. And then go the opposite way, just balancing out the stretch. And then come forward to release. Set the hands on the ground, spread the fingers wide, tuck the toes under and push the hips back and up into downward facing dog. Send the chest in the direction of the upper thighs, keep a nice generous bend in the knees, and then begin to pedal out through the legs and the feet. Draw the shoulder heads away from the ears, nice long neck. We're going to move and take our downward dog into a plank flow, adding more movement to the spine. As you inhale, round the back and roll forward into plank. Hold for just a moment and then bend the knees and send the hips back into downward dog. We're going to inhale, rolling forward, taking your time, and then find your exhale and push the hips back into downward dog. Try that one more time. Hold your downward dog for one breath cycle, kicking the heels towards the ground. And then release the knees down and let's find a child's pose. Bring the big toes together, take the knees out wide, sink the hips towards the heels. Walk the hands forward and melt the chest towards the thighs. Rest the head either on a block, a blanket, or on the ground. Soften the back body, soften the upper back and the lower back. Make sure you're not holding tension anywhere else. On your next inhale, push into the hands and come up. Bring the knees together and just sit on your calves for one moment. We're going to move into an upward dog, child's pose, flow. Set the hands out in front of you. Move the knees back and melt the hips forward. Send the chest forward, the shoulders back, and inhale here in your upward dog. Then exhale, send the hips back into child's pose. Inhale, round forward. Land in upward dog, then exhale, send the hips back to land in child's pose. A few more times, linking your breath and movement, taking your time. Find your last child's pose and just hold for one breath cycle. And then come up onto all fours, keeping the knees stacked under the hips. We'll walk the hands forward into puppy pose, melting the head down either onto the ground, a block, or a blanket. Engage your abdomen to keep the back flat and straight. Soften the toes and soften the hands and relax the upper back. Keeping the legs as is, walk the wrists under the shoulders. We're going to come into thread the needle. On an inhale, bring the right arm out to the right or up, and then exhale to thread it under the left arm. The left hand can stay by the face, or you can stretch the left arm long. Draw the shoulders away from the ears, tuck the chin down to protect the neck, and draw the hips to center. Draw the left hand towards the face to release. Push into the left hand and come upright. Stretch the right arm up, and let's move to the left side. Take an inhale and take the left arm out to the left or up. And then exhale, thread it under the right arm. Resting on the left side of the skull, tilt the chin down to lengthen the neck. Stretch the right arm up overhead and relax both shoulders away from the ears. Bring the right hand towards the face and push into the ground to release. Stretch your left arm up to the sky and then place it down to release. Bring the body upright onto the shins. We're going to move into gate pose. Keeping the left knee under the left hip, you're going to stretch your right leg out to the right. The pinky toe edge of the right foot is parallel with the front of the mat. Bring the arms out to a T. Then as you exhale, stretch over to the right, landing the right hand on the leg and stretching the left arm overhead, breathing into the left side of the body. Make sure you avoid overarching the lower back by pushing the hips forward and rolling the left shoulder back. Inhale, come back up to center. And then exhale, send the left hand down to the ground, placing it on the ground or a block. Stretch the right arm up. And if you want to move deeper, stretch the right arm overhead, roll the right shoulder back, send the hips forward. Inhale, push up to release. Let's move to the other side. Stretch the left leg out to the left. The pinky toe edge of the left foot is parallel to the back of the mat, and then take the arms out into a T. When you find your exhalation, stretch the right arm up overhead towards the left, landing the left hand on the left leg. Take an inhale and come back to center. Land the right hand on the ground or your block and stretch the left arm up straight overhead. To move deeper, you'll stretch the left arm overhead, feeling a nice stretch on the left side of the body, all the way from the underarm to the hip. Take an inhale and bring the body upright. We're going to move into a low lunge on the right side. Bend into the right knee and send the right foot forward in between the hands. Walk the left knee back, melt the hips forward. Send the right hip back and the left hip forward. Check your alignment and draw your shoulders back. And then come into lizard by heel toeing the right foot to the right side of the mat. The right pinky toe edge of the foot is parallel to the right side of the mat. And when you find your next exhalation, send the hips back for half splits. Flex your right toes to protect the right knee and keep a soft bend in the right knee, breathing into the right hamstring. Maintain a nice flat back here. Inhale to release, send the right knee back, and let's move to the left side. Send the left foot between the hands, making sure you're making a nice 90-degree angle with the left knee. Pull the left hip back and send the right hip forward to align the hips. Draw the shoulders back, send the heart forward. Then heel toe the left foot to the left side of the mat for a lizard. Soften your hips down, soften your chest down. Keep the expression on your face soft. Then we'll come into our half split variation. You can kind of move your foot forward and then send the hips back and flex the left toes back towards the face, breathing into the hamstring. Inhale, come forward to release and roll over the legs to come seated. Extend the right leg long in front of you, bend into the left knee, with the left sole of the foot onto the ground, and let the left knee fall over to the left. The left sole of the foot is on the inner thigh. Take an inhale to sit up nice and tall, and then exhale, hinge from the hips to fold forward, sending the chest towards the right toes. You can use a yoga strap here, looping it around the arch of the right foot, and focus on maintaining a nice flat back as you breathe into the lower back and the hamstring. Inhale to release. Let's switch over to the left side. Extend the left leg long, flex the left toes, relax the right knee down in the right hip, and take a moment to inhale, find a nice straight spine. Exhale, hinge forward, grabbing either onto the shin, the ankle, the foot, or using a yoga strap. Use your next inhalation to come upright and release, and find your way onto your back. Bend both knees in towards the chest and just hug the knees in close and take a rock from side to side. Then keep the right knee hugged in towards the chest and extend the left leg long for knee to chest pose. On your next exhalation, we're going to shift onto the left hip and send the right knee over towards the left. The arms come out into a T for our spinal twist. You can keep your gaze up or take your gaze over to the right. Inhale, come back up to center. Hug the left knee in towards the chest. Extend the right leg long. And then when you find your next exhalation, you'll shift onto the right hip, send the left knee over towards the right, bring the arms out into a T, keep the upper body plugged into the ground, and soften the hips, the belly, the chest, and the face. Release, come back to center onto your back, and hug both knees in. Grab a hold of the outer edges of both feet and bring the soles together. Push the knees away and stay here, or open up into happy baby pose. Pulling down onto the feet, keeping the ankles and the knees aligned, and pull the knees down towards the ground. Soften the shoulders down and keep the upper body plugged into the ground. And you can rock from side to side or hold in stillness. You can also invite more of a hamstring stretch by lengthening out one leg straight and then releasing and straightening out the opposite leg, just alternating between a hamstring stretch for both of the legs. We're going to release the legs down and prepare for our corpse pose, Shavasana. Spread the legs out wide and take the arms by the side, palms face up. Prepare the body to rest and slow down. Take note of your heartbeat and your breath cycle. Release any muscles in the legs and in the hips and let the back relax down. Soften the chest and the shoulders and check in with your jaw. Soften the muscles around the eyes, the muscles at the corners of the eyes, and soften the muscles of the face. Make some micro movements with the toes and the fingers and prepare to release our Shavasana. Stretch the body long, and then find your way to a side lying position, taking a pause. And just take a moment to thank yourself for showing up for your mind, your body, and your spirit today. Keep the gaze soft or the eyes closed as you push into the hands to help you to come sit up into easy seated pose, Sukhasana. And inhale and sweep the arms out, around, and up. The palms come to touch overhead. And land the palms at the forehead as a reminder that you are the master of your Zen. Palms come to rest at the lips as a reminder to communicate our truth with authenticity and kindness. Palms come to rest at the heart center as a reminder to know thyself and love thyself. Thank you for practicing with me. Peace and ease to you. If you enjoyed this session and it helped you, please share it with someone it can help. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be aware of when I post. Until next time.